going through, how I'm prepping, stuff about if it fits your macros, nutrition, my workouts, shopping, things like that. So anyway, this first video is going to be all about my diet tips. So as I said, I am prepping for my first NPC competition. So I'm about 7 weeks out right now. So the diet is getting pretty tough, but I have kind of found ways to make it easier, I guess. And I made a list of those things. So hopefully if you're prepping like me, or maybe you're just trying to prepare for summer and trying to slim down, hopefully these tips can help you out like they have me. So my first tip is just to remember why you started. So sometimes, you know, those low carb days like today, it's hard and you just want to eat everything in sight. You know, for me, like I measure everything out and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just want to get like a whole scoop of peanut butter and eat 5 bowls of cereal. But and then I question, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, is it even worth it? I'm hungry. You know, what am I even doing? So I really just try and put things in perspective and think, you know, back in January when I started prepping, I did this because I want to prove to myself that I can do it. This is a goal. This is something that's been on my bucket list. I want to prove that I have the dedication and determination to complete a 4-month prep or whatever. You know, and I want to get up on that stage and I want to make myself proud. I want to make my family proud, my boyfriend, my friends. So it's important to me. So I try to think what it's going to be like in the future when I am on that stage, and I did get through that. That's going to be an awesome feeling. So try to remember why you started. Number 2, consistency. Consistency is key. I know you've probably heard that a million times, but is so incredibly true. I think at first when you start a diet or prepping or anything, the motivation is there. You're like, yeah, you know, I really want to get in shape for summer. I want to look good in that bikini. I'm motivated. You're ready to go. You're working out all the time and you're eating really healthy for like a week or 2. And I think because you don't always see results immediately, a lot of people tend to give up. And for me, I know I didn't really start seeing results for like 6 weeks. So again, I'm like, why am I doing this? But I thought, you know, just be consistent, just keep going, and you'll see results. And after about 6 weeks, well, what do you know? I started losing weight and I started seeing changes in the mirror and in my progress photos. So consistency is key. That is so incredibly important. And I also think it's kind of how you react when things get hard. So when I hit about that 5-week mark before I really started seeing results, I kind of had a breakdown. I'm like, again, why am I doing this? I'm not seeing results. You know, I'm busting my butt in the gym. I'm tracking everything to the macro, logging everything. You know, I haven't binged eat once. So it's frustrating. But then I kind of thought too, I'm like, this is the point where people either give up because they're not seeing results, or because it got too hard, or they push past that point and they keep going. And then those are the people that end up rocking the stage, having an awesome body, reaching their goals. So I thought, no, you know what? I've gone this far. I'm going to keep going because I know I'm doing everything that I can. I'm working out hard. I'm eating all the right things. I'm tracking everything. I'm not cheating on my diet. So I said to myself, I'm going to get past this point and I know I'll see results. So sure enough, I got through that plateau, I guess, if you will. And like, sure enough, the next week I started dropping weight and I started seeing changes. So push through that point. I know it's really hard and it's discouraging when you don't see results when you think you should, especially if you've been working out or eating right for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even more. Everybody's different, so it's gonna may take you longer than somebody else to see results. But if you're doing everything that you can, you're not cheating on your diet, you will see results. Just keep with it. Number 3, being comfortable with being hungry. So I actually heard this from, or read this on Brett Contreras' blog. I hope I'm saying his name right. And it couldn't be more true. So before prep, and before this drastic diet change that I went through, I would be hungry. Like the second I would be even a little bit hungry, like not even hunger pains, but just like, oh, I could eat. Like I would eat, obviously. And so now that I'm in a caloric deficit and I'm eating less, I have to space my meals out more. So now instead of eating every hour and a half or 2 hours, I'm having to wait 3 hours. And so yeah, I get hungry and it's very hard, but you have to learn how to deal with that. And it's not like when I'm hungry, I'm in pain or my stomach is like growling uncontrollably. It's manageable and I'm not gonna die from it. And so being comfortable with that is important. So just getting used to that, because that's part of it. Anytime you're in a caloric deficit, obviously you're not getting the amount of calories that you normally would, so you're going to be hungry because you're trying to lose weight. Number 4, intermittent fasting. So I have read and watched a lot of videos on intermittent fasting, and I do it to an extent. So right now I'm doing carb cycling, where I have 3 low carb days, 3 moderate carb days, and 1 high carb day a week. On my low carb days, obviously my carbs are very low, so my calories are a lot lower than on the moderate or the high days. So what I tend to do, and I think everybody kind of approaches this differently, but I will wait as long as possible to eat my first meal. Because I've kind of realized if I wake up in the morning at 5:30 for work, you know, and I eat my first meal at 5:30, I'm gonna be hungry 2 hours later because I've kickstarted my metabolism, so my body's gonna expect to keep eating. But if I wait, so on my low carb days, I'll just get up and I'll have a cup of coffee, and then I'll wait until I get to work about 8 o'clock and have my first meal then. I feel like my food goes a lot further throughout the day. So I feel like I'm getting more food even though I'm not. I don't know. It really helps. Now, some people do intermittent fasting where it's like 8 hours on, 16 hours off. So that means for an 8-hour window during the day, that's when you're eating all of your food. And then for 16 hours, so that includes when you're sleeping, you're fasting, so you're not eating. And what that does, I think, especially if you're not consuming a lot of calories, again, it tricks your mind. You're having the same amount of calories as if you would on a normal day if you spread it out. But since it's a smaller window, you're tricking yourself into thinking that you're getting more food. But pretty much you would start eating at like 10 or 11 in the morning and you'd stop at like 4. So 16 hours fasting, 8-hour window of eating. I haven't done it to that extent yet because I just don't know if I can go 16 hours without eating. That's a really long time for me. But I do, on my lower carb days, I wait as long as possible, or at least until I get to work, before I have my first meal, and it helps a lot. Planning out your macros and meals ahead of time. So I follow If It Fits Your Macros. I know a lot of you probably do in flexible dieting. So I plan everything out on MyFitnessPal. And I always do this like way ahead of time. So I know people do it the night before, which is great. I do that sometimes too. But I even go as far as like planning out my whole week. And I don't know, maybe that's too much for some people, but that's what I like to do. I'm kind of OCD, so I like to have it done. But I plan out all my food like for the whole week, and if nothing, then at least the day before I plan out for the next day. And that just reduces so much stress because everything is already in MyFitnessPal, prepped, ready to go. You don't even have to think about it. If you're waiting till the day of to put all your food in MyFitnessPal, I don't know. It takes a lot of time, number one, and it's a little more stressful. So I just think it's really helpful to plan everything ahead of time. It's done, you don't have to worry about it. Next is something that I do when I'm hungry. Some people drink water. They say, oh, if you're hungry, drink water. No, that doesn't help me at all. Like, that does not curb my appetite. I'm still hungry and my stomach is still growling. But if I do drink something carbonated, so like a La Croix, like sparkling water, or like Zevia soda sweetened with stevia, I'll drink those, or like low carb monsters. So anything with carbonation, that really does, I think, help hold me over to my next meal. I don't know why, like the bubbles just, they make me feel full. So that has really helped me. Gum. Now with gum, you have to be careful, because I didn't realize this until I started prepping, and I was like very OCD about looking at macros of everything, but gum has carbs and calories. So I really like the extra, like the big sticks of gum, but those literally have like 2 grams of carbs in them. I know. So I'll usually get like mints, or I get like the smaller sticks of gum, which are like a carb or less. And I will usually limit myself to like 2 to 3 pieces of gum a day, because again, if you go through a whole pack of gum, that's like 20 carbs if there's like 10 sticks. Anyway, it adds up, so you have to be careful with gum. But gum really helps in moderation. Mints, coffee. So like I said earlier, I'll always have my coffee in the morning, and that usually will hold me over until my first meal. It just puts something warm in my stomach that just holds me over. It makes me feel a little more satisfied. Same thing with tea. I'll always end my night, like my nightcap is hot tea. There's 5 million different flavors of caffeine free tea, and it really helps a lot. And it kind of also like signals to my brain like, okay, the eating is done, it's time to get ready for bed and wind down. So I always have tea before bed. Next, I want to mention that this isn't really a tip, but more of like something that kind of irritates me when people do things like this. It's fad and crash diets. Atkins diet, you know, super low carb, things like that. They don't work, at least not in the long term. For me, what I'm doing, you know, I'm taking more of a flexible dieting approach, but I'm doing this so I can maintain it in the future. You know, if I'm eating like no carbs at all, or I'm only eating like chicken, broccoli, and rice and sweet potato every single day, I would binge eat, and it would not be, for me at least, that's not something that I could continue to do my whole life, or in the long run, or after. Even like, I don't even know if I can complete competition prep just doing that, which is why I love flexible dieting. I'll make another video about that another time. But fad diets, they don't work. So like with Atkins, for example, you know, you're dropping your carbs so incredibly low, and yeah, you're gonna lose some weight. At first, you're shocking your body by like not eating any carbs, you're gonna lose weight. But that is gonna slow down eventually. You know, your body and your brain, you need carbs to function. Your brain needs carbs to operate and think. Same with fats. So to totally eliminate that from your diet or go to completely low carb is just foolish, in my opinion. I don't think it's safe. You're gonna cause yourself metabolic damage, and you're gonna end up gaining weight. Or as soon as you start introducing carbs back in your diet, you're gonna blow up. So same thing with like people who do competitions. You know, a lot of them are bringing their carbs down next to nothing, and then they go back to normal eating after the competition, and they gain all this weight back, and they don't understand why. Well, it's because you had no carbs your whole prep, and now you're eating normally again and your body can't handle it. So, you know, you cause yourself metabolic damage, and among other things. So just be smart about it. You know, just a quick note about flexible dieting. You don't have to be miserable and just eat chicken and broccoli and rice all the time to see results. You can eat things that you love in moderation. You know, if you're eating 85–90% clean, you know, there's room for things that you enjoy. Like, I eat Oreos every single day, and cookies and cereal. But again, 90% of the food that I eat in a day is very nutrient dense, healthy, good for you food. So I see results every single day. I feel like my body's changing. But you don't have to sacrifice things that you love. Just be smart. Don't do dumb fad crash diets. You'll regret it. So anyway, I think that concludes my video today. Thank you so much again for watching. I hope to put up a lot more videos pretty frequently. I know I want to do a video about if it fits your macros, tracking, how I do that, how you figure out your macros, things like that. I want to do like a fitness favorites. I have so many things that I use every single day that I love, that I think you guys might like too. So I have all these ideas floating around my head that I want to do. So hopefully you guys subscribe and that you like my videos. I will talk to you next time. Thanks, bye.